Okay, so now we're going to pick up from where we left off. On slide 36 is where we ended, so now we're going to pick up on slide 37. Hopefully you did these practice problems on your own first before you walked through them here on this video. That way when we meet in class and we're doing some more of these together, you have a little bit better of an idea of your capabilities with what you're doing and you can ask some good questions. So I'm just going to walk you through the steps that I would use to fill in these problems. Again, I know that some of these are things that you can do in your head, but it's a good idea to get practice in setting up your T-charts here. So the first thing I'm going to do with this first T-chart is always set up my T-chart here. I want to draw my T-chart, and then I always want to make sure first that I set up my unit first so that I know that grams and grams are going to cross out. And then what I want to do is say to myself, can I go from grams to kilograms? You're always checking, do I have that conversion unit? Once you identify that you have that conversion unit, you're going to plug in your numbers, so I know that 1 gram equals 1,000 kilograms here. And then remember, we're always multiplying across, dividing underneath, and we're seeing here that the grams and grams cross out, so we're left in kilograms, which is what I want my answer to be in. So I'm going to multiply and divide, and then I get that answer. So hopefully that's what you got for the first one. For the second one, I'm going to draw my T-chart again. I'm going to make sure that I have my units matching up here, so I'm going to put kilometers in on the bottom, making sure that it matches up here. Notice I don't put my numbers in for these first. I'm always just checking to make sure that my units are correct first. So I'm going to put kilometers on the bottom, and then I'm going to ask myself, can I go from kilometers to meters? Do I have that conversion unit? And yes, you do. You know that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, and in this case you would multiply across, divide by 1, and that would be your answer. So again, hopefully that was pretty straightforward. On to the next one. I'm going to draw my T-chart. I'm going to make sure that I've got milligrams on the bottom, always making sure that my units match up. Again, noticing I'm not putting the numbers in there. I'm going to ask myself, can I go from milligrams to grams? You do have that conversion unit. You know that 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams, so you're going to plug your numbers in. And then you're going to make sure your milligrams cross out, you're left in grams. You're going to do your math, your division, and get your final answer there. Alright, onwards to the next one. We're going to set it up here. I'm going to go a little bit faster through this one. Hopefully that's what your setup looks like. You know you've got your joules and joules matching up here, and then allowing you to cross out to get to decajoules. And once you do that math, you should get 0.35. The next example here, we've got liters to milliliters, so you should have liters at the bottom on here, crossing out with liters on the top. You know you can go from liters to milliliters. You've got that conversion unit, and then you do your math there. Okay, finally this last problem, it's a little bit harder, and really the reason why it's a little bit harder is because we've got that cubed there. And so if we look at it, and I set my centimeters up on the bottom, and I know I can go from centimeters to meters, and I plug in my numbers and I do all my crossing out. The interesting thing about this though is I've only crossed out 1 of the centimeters. So right here, okay, if you see I've got 3 centimeters here. When I cross out 1 on the bottom, I still have 2 left. And so we've got to make sure that we do 2 more T-charts here so that we can cross out all the centimeters. So once that's completed, I look at down here on the bottom, and I know it's kind of tight right here, but down here on the bottom I've got 1, 2, 3 centimeters, so when you multiply all that together that actually ends up being centimeters cubed, which is a good because it will cross that centimeters cubed out. And then when you multiply this across the top, meter, meter, and meter, it actually gives us meters cubed, which is what my answer wants to be in. So there's how you do that problem, and that should be your final answer. So hopefully you did all right with those problems here. Once we get comfortable with using the metric scale for our problems, we need to understand that there's more than just a 10 to 100 type conversion. There's lots of different conversions. So here in this example, we've got the number of centimeters and inches. So I know I'm starting with 2.8 inches. I know I want to end in centimeters, and my conversion factor is 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. You have a lot of conversion factors on a sheet that we gave you at the beginning of the unit, so you should be able to find all of these different factors. This is never something that we expect you to memorize as teachers. So in this example here, I'm already giving you that we're starting with our information in this upper left-hand corner, and it's giving you that our inches and our inches are matching up, which is good because we always want to make sure that our units are going to cross out. So then you should ask yourself, can you go from inches to centimeters? You were just given that conversion unit, and you know that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So again, we're matching our units, and 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. When you multiply across, you end up getting 7.11 centimeters as your answer. So now on the bottom one here, again, we're matching our units up. We've got centimeters and centimeters. That way, algebraically, we can cross those out. And then you know that 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. So here you're just going to divide, and that's going to give you 4.88 inches. So hopefully that makes sense when you're talking about using conversion units with things other than, base 10 numbers. All right, our next example here, we've got ounces to mils or mils to ounces. So we want to start with our 600 mils. We know that that's going to go in our upper left-hand corner here. Again, we see that we've got mils and mils that are going to cross out. So I know that I've got the ability to go from mils to ounces because I've got the conversion unit that's right here at the top. Again, that should be on your sheet of paper that you were given at the beginning of the unit. So again, we have this conversion unit, and we want to put in that 12 ounces equals 355 mils. You want to multiply across first and then divide so that you don't mess up your order of operations in your calculator. And once you do that, you get 20.3 ounces. Alright, so this problem here, it's a little bit longer because I don't really have a very clean days to minutes conversion. It's not a very clear conversion factor, so I might need to take some multiple steps in this case. So in this example here, I'm going to start always with my 52,480 minutes, and if you notice, I make sure that my minutes cross out here, minutes to minutes. I'm going to ask myself, can I go from minutes to days? I really don't, in my mind, have that conversion unit, so I'm going to make it easier on myself and use a conversion unit that I do know. I know that I can go from minutes to hours. And again, notice I'm just putting in the units there, not the numbers. So once I figure out that my units are going to work, I'm going to put in my numbers. I know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. I'm going to cross out my minute units, and I'm going to look at hours, and I'm going to say, am I done yet? Okay? I'm not done because my question asks me to end in days. So it's important that you're always identifying that in terms of where you're at in your T-chart. So now, because I'm not done, I'm going to put hours on the bottom now. So hours and hours, this way I can get those two to cross out, and I'm going to ask myself, can I go from hours to days? And you can. That's a pretty easy conversion now. I know that 1 day is 24 hours. I'm looking at that crossing out. I'm going to check my final unit. Is my final unit in what the question is asking me? Yes, it is. I'm in days. And you're going to multiply everything across and then divide. So it's really important that you multiply everything first and then divide again because you don't want to have a calculator error. So once you do that, you should get 36.4 days. Alright, so go ahead and hit pause here. Try this next one on your own. And then once you hit unpause, you'll see the explanation for it. So hopefully you hit pause, and then we'll start here with 2.4 months. We know that 2.4 months is going to be in this upper left-hand corner. We know that's what we're going to start with. So 2.4 months in this upper left-hand corner. We're going to make sure that months and months match up. Always important that we have our units matching up here. And then we're going to go from months to days because, in my opinion, months to minutes isn't very easy. So we go from months to days. I know that 1 month is 30 days. I'm going to cross my units out. And I'm not done because days is not minutes. That I'm not in the right unit yet. So I've got to go one more step. So I'm going to go days on the bottom so that I know that my units are crossing out here. Days and days. Then what you want to do is go, I don't really think it's easy to go days to minutes. So I'm going to go days to hours. I'm going to plug in my values. And I'm still not done because hours is not what my question is asking me to end in. So again, still not done. So then I would need to put hours on the bottom of my T-chart, and then you ask yourself, can you go from hours to minutes? And you can, so 1 hour is 60 minutes. Multiply everything across, check your units at the end, you're in the correct units, and go ahead and get your answer as 103,680 minutes. So there's how to do some multiple step T-chart problems. You're not always going to have an easy one-step T-chart. Conversions with 2 units is what we're going to talk about next, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. So again, it's not too long, so hopefully you're feeling comfortable with conversions so far, and the next small video will be on conversions with 2 units.